Well, I'm making another video again, back to back. I was talking about Leviticus. Leviticus 27 refers to the end of slavery, and it refers to two people, and it refers to two people at the ages of below 60 and below 30, below what number? And below 5. And I believe it refers to Emanika and Osi only. And if you read it, Leviticus 27 talks about there being prophets of God, both of them, and being compensated. Well, they won't get the compensation, but if they don't, it refers to the culmination of God's principle leading Abel Melanin now away from the demon Cain through the blood of Seth. And you see, Abel Melanin is correct, and that is very important. Now, what you have to understand is this. You see, you can say Abel Melanin is Melchizedek, is Ozank, is Moses. And what's the point of saying that? Well, you can say Abel was reborn and was Melchizedek, and Melchizedek was reborn and was Moses. It's neither here nor there. It's not important. You see, what is important is this. If life is worth anything in flesh, and it was worth having children who have children, even though we lay down and die, then that's all that's important. The life you live and the generations that follow you. And that's how people like Abraham would have lived. See, Noah survived the flood and had children, that's all. But we know there's something more. And they knew it in the Bible. It said that these people lived longer. They lived 1,000 years. But it was said that they were descended from people that had been immortal, but they had sinned. And that's why they died. So who knew any of this? Well, it said Enoch knew God and just disappeared. And we have no evidence of that. Even a prophet like Elisha said to Elijah, give me 7 times your face before you die. And it meant nothing other than what Elijah said. Elijah said, you can have 7 times my face if you're there to witness my death. That's all he said. See, that's very important. Elisha never had more faith than Elijah, even after Elijah was dead. But Elijah said to him, look, see me die and take 7 times my face. And how did Elijah die? He never died. Something came and took him. They're said to be the horses of Israel and the chariot of fire. And 2 angels lifted him into the chariot and took him. And they went to heaven. It's said that Abraham met 2 angels at a tree. I think it was a tree. 2 angels met him under a tree and told him he was to have a child. And it's just joyful. It's said in the gospel that judgment was on the pavements because the devil walked up and down the pavement. And then Paul said Christ would come and he would stand on the pavement at the street corner and speak to the people. And in the end, Jacob was walking a path and a man was in the way, and it was the Lord's angel. And he wouldn't let him. He said, fight me or I won't let you pass. So Jacob needed to go that way, but he didn't want to fight him. And in the end, he wanted to get off the path and walk around the end and said he would fight him. So he struggled with this man. And he said he had wrestled with God, and God damaged his hip. And he limped for the rest of his life. And you might say, why is that? Well, it could be this. The prophet Jeremiah was asked by a king what they should do because this people somewhere in Asia, India, or somewhere, people were very strong and they were moving towards Egypt and they were going to pass through Israel. And the king said he wants to make an alliance with Egypt. And Jeremiah said he would ask God. And God said, don't go to Egypt again because that is slavery. You were slaves then, you will be again. He said, and make an alliance with this Indian king and stay in Israel and pay the Indian king what he asks. And the Israelites didn't agree. They went to Egypt, and they were slaves in Egypt. And those that remained in Israel were captured by the Indians, the Assyrians, and taken away from Israel into slavery in India. So there were slaves in Egypt and India. And Jeremiah was kidnapped by the Israelites that ran away, and he was also a slave in Egypt. That's all the Bible is doing all the time, is just saying, look, this, that, the other. None of these things mean anything, because no one of any race, including the black race, alive today has ever been a slave. No one was born in slavery. Nobody, if they're black. And I know that you and I will never be slaves. People talk about racism, but the Jews were subject to genocide when? Well, that ended in the end of the war. I forgot when, 1944. But we must remember that the Jews would commit genocide. Never. Now, they would like to, but they can't justify being safe, because they're only safe because of the countries that have always hated them in the West. And it's the same with black people. Despite white racism, without white Europeans around the world, black people will be subject to mass invasion by people like China and India and the Arabs and the Turks, Eastern Europeans. Everybody would go there to attack black people. Black people from East Africa would attack black people from everywhere. The Central Africans attack the West Africans and so on. Now, it's not because white people